course, coupled with other challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic. So, under NDP4, we are, first of all, looking at mobilizing enough resources for the implementation of the plan. That is number one. And then number two, as a country, we run a decentralized system of government, meaning that implementation takes place at the local government level. And when you move on to that level, there are also challenges that must be addressed if we want to successfully implement NDP4. Number one, we need to sensitize them on what NDP4 is all about. And on top of the consultations we had with them when we were developing this plan, we are now going back to sensitize them. Number two, some of our local governments have capacity gaps when it comes to planning, budgeting, monitoring, and evaluating projects. And we are moving in to do capacity building. But also, we need to ensure that the local governments are adequately funded to be in position to implement NDP4. So we are also pushing for that. And then when you come at the national level, as I said, we have programs, and each program has what we call a program secretariat, and we are working with the program secretariats to ensure that the plan is very well implemented. But also, most importantly, we work very closely with Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Prime Minister to ensure that our annual budgets speak to the NDP4, because that is the beginning. So this time round, we are quite happy and sure that the implementation of NDP4 will be much better than the implementation of the previous NDPs, because we've learned lessons over time.
Talking about learning lessons over time, planning is something else, implementation is something else, but I love the fact that you said there's going to be a lot of sensitization and letting people know. But how then do we cater for the uncertainties in terms of change of priority? For example, you may be looking at extending technology in the education sector. Now there comes in the unfortunates like sometimes insecurities. We had the Karamoja region when we had cattle, cattle raids became so common, brothers from the other side, so much was sent to ensure there was peace in that area. There comes in floods and priorities change, you know, so how do we cater for such within the plan?
Thank you. These natural uncertainties are unavoidable. So if you are a country that is good at planning, you have to plan for them. And that's why for us as the National Planning Authority, we actually discourage supplementary budgets, because that's what affects our budgeting, moving it off the course of planning. But the uncertainties you're talking about are well catered for in NDP4 to ensure that in case they happen, we don't derail and move off the what? Move off the plan. We have a contingency plan within NDP4 that caters for those natural disasters, floods, but also ensuring that we take very good care of our environment, because some of those are caused by poor environmental management, and we need to work very hard to ensure that we prevent or reduce the rate at which climate change is happening.
One of the other challenges we find is Uganda's increasing population. And one may say managing success, because at a time we talked about how we've had success in reducing maternal mortality. Children who would die now grow, and we are now suffering with a big population of grown people, maybe who would have not grown, who didn't have government taken such strides in that area. But how are we looking at this, the high population growth? You have a budget 10 years back, you come back, you've added millions of people onto the population of a country. So in NDP4, how are we factoring in this as well?
So NDP4 is coming on board at a time when the restructuring of NPA has just ended. And under this restructuring, we took on the functions of the defunct National Population Council and the Physical Planning Board. And the aim for that was to improve planning in this country. So I'm happy that we are speaking about this at a time when development planning, population planning, and physical planning are housed under one roof. Now, going back to population planning, I want our people to clearly understand that population growth is not a bad thing.
Sure.
Population growth is a good thing, and if a country is to develop, the population should grow. So for us, as NPA, we don't have any challenge with population growth. So the challenge is not population growth. And the challenge is not having a big population. Because how do you determine that we have a big population? You understand? I want to think that our country can still sustain our population. So Uganda is not overpopulated. And I want people to mark me clearly. One, I've said that population growth is not a bad thing. And then secondly, I've said that Uganda is not overpopulated. So where is the challenge?
Quality in terms of population, Charles.
Yes, we are going to talk about quality, but the main challenge is the rate at which the population grows.
Oh.
Population growth is a good thing, but at what rate is your population growing? Is the rate sustainable? You understand? And by sustainability, I mean, do you have the finances, for example, to construct more health centers, recruit more doctors, construct more classrooms, recruit more teachers to teach these young people? And the answer for now is no. So the challenge we are having is that our population is still growing at a very fast rate. Now, I'm not an economist, but when you talk to economists, they do tell us that for a country to develop, your GDP should be growing, your economy should be growing 3 times the rate of population growth. So currently, if our population is roughly growing at a rate of about 2.9, 3.0%, that means that if Uganda is to develop, our economy should be growing, we should have double-digit economic growth beyond 10%. And yet in the past, it has averaged around 6.4%. So that's the main challenge that we have with our population. And as you rightly mentioned, for a country to develop, you need a quality population. Now, you cannot ensure a quality population when your population is growing at a very fast rate, because by a quality population, we're basically talking about a healthy, educated, skilled, and productive population.
Yes.
So basically, what we want to see as NPA is a reduction in the rate at which our population is growing, and we are happy that we are moving towards the right direction, because the total fertility rate, and this is basically the number of children per woman of childbearing age, has come down. It used to be around 7.1 in 1992, and then it came down to about 5.4, and now it has reduced to 5.2. And then the population growth rate has also come down to about 2.9. So we are moving towards the right direction. But you know, this population topic is quite wide. We can spend a whole day talking about it. Because when you talk about reducing the rate at which the population is growing. People bring in examples of, for example, the Western world that is aging, that actually needs to increase the rate at which their population is growing. So it depends on which side of the continent you're on. On our side, we need to reduce the rate at which our population is growing. But for the Western world that is aging, they now need to increase the rate at which their population is growing. And then I believe many Ugandans who are watching this show are now asking themselves, so how do you get to reduce the rate at which your population is growing? And we have very good strategies as a country. Number one, if you want to reduce the rate at which your population is growing, you have to keep both your boys and girls in school until completion. And here, I want to appreciate government and His Excellency the President for the initiatives he has brought on board, like universal primary education, universal secondary education, and then now we have a loan scheme for higher education, but we also have affirmative action for the girl child, and then the presidential skilling initiative for the boy and girl child. All these initiatives combined together are increasingly keeping our children in school until completion, and because of that, we are lowering the number of children they are likely to have. Because when you delay the onset of childbearing, that couple is likely to have fewer children than a couple that starts having children when they are still very young. That is strategy number one. Strategy number two, I know many of our people like running away from family planning, but we cannot do away with it, because it's a very important tool that can help us ensure healthy families by determining when to have children and how many children to have. And I'm happy that many Ugandans are embracing family planning. And then beyond education and family planning, what are the other strategies? I want us to ask ourselves a question. Why do many African couples prefer having many children to the extent that we take it to be part of our culture? Well, research shows that having many children is not part of the African culture, but the challenge has always been the high rate of infant mortality, whereby people would plan for death. You go to the village and your auntie would tell you that produce 10 children so that when 7 die, you will remain with 3. But as we improve health services in this country...
Actually, even up to date, someone tells you, how many children do you have? 2? Supposing one dies.
Yes. So using strategies like immunization, improving nutrition, improving sanitation, sleeping under mosquito, insecticide-treated mosquito nets, we are bringing down infant mortality. And it has seriously come down, because we are now losing about 43 children per 1,000 live birth. And as infant mortality comes down, the appetite to have many children is also coming down. But also, our people are becoming career-oriented. And that alone is pushing down the size of households. So we are on the right track, but as I said at the beginning, the challenge is not population growth. Population growth is actually a good thing, but what we need to concentrate on is reducing the rate at which the population is growing and ensuring a quality population.
Well answered, and of course, looking at the clock, well, I must leave room for Behind the Headlines, a replay of that, and I'll just give my guest 2 minutes for his parting shot.
Thank you so much, Robert, for the 2 minutes. I want to start by appreciating UBC and yourself for always hosting us from the National Planning Authority. And to my fellow Ugandans, as we embark on implementing the 4th National Development Plan, I want us to understand that we all have a role to play. The private sector should embrace the opportunities in NDP4, but also work towards public-private partnerships. And then our people, our grassroots people, you have a huge role to play by embracing government initiatives like the parish development model, but also holding your leaders accountable and following up on government programs. And then lastly, as I have already said, keeping our children in school is the best investment we can give them. So let's ensure that we keep both our boys and girls in school until the completion of their education. And I want to thank His Excellency the President for having launched NDP4 during the State of Nation address on Thursday last week at Kololo. Thank you so much for God and my country.
Well, thank you, Charles, for your time. And of course, our viewer, thank you for being with us. Now, important for you is to interest yourself in these documents. A leader, a technocrat, and of course, the general public, so that we know what we can demand for. The budget is being read today. Interest yourself. Interest yourself. That is the only way we can hold people accountable with the right information. Have the best of your day. God bless you.
Live from UBC studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Okwongera okuyiga ebikwata ku musolo n'okubisembereza abagusasula. Bannayuganda bangi balina ebibuuzo ebikwata ku musolo gwe basasula eri ekitongole ekiwooza URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear kitenge at 10,000.
Alikuwa nafika kwa mwingine URA na kurespect kanasema mzee tuongee. Munaongee. Hakuna fika kwa mwingine na kamata faili yako naweka kwa drawer na.
Okutegeera obukulu bw'okusasula omusolo busobola okuyamba okuzza bizinesi yo n'okwewala okufiirizibwanga. Kati osobola okufuna okuddibwamu obutereevu. Sindika ebibuuzo ebikwata ku musolo ng'oweereza obubaka bw'obutereevu ne WhatsApp ku nnamba y'essimu 079 14 18 87. Olwo ofuna okuddibwamu okuva wa Kamisona General wa URA John Musinguzi. Laba amawulire gaffe UBC leero buli lwa bbalaza n'olwokusatu ofuna okunnyonnyola okulambulukufu okuva ew'omukenkufu. Buuza Kamisona.
The Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will read the budget speech for the financial year 2025-2026 under the theme Full Monetization of Uganda's Economy through Commercial Agriculture, Industrialization, Expanding and Broadening Social Services, Digital Transformation and Market Access. Please listen to the budget speech on 12th June 2025 to know the budget priorities and the opportunities it presents. Our budget, our responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and all the Budget Month partners.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces